Hello, it's me again. I'm going to carry on with the Abramelin Journal reading. I think this is the last one. See how it goes. Okay, we'll give it 15 minutes thereabouts. So going straight into it, this is the 20th of January 2011. I'm glad I finished when I did and not later. My body is exhausted. I don't know what that means. And then on to the 21st of January 2011. First session for today complete. I pulled my chair back from the centre to the edge on the east side where the door is, and put a charcoal block in the middle with some of the spirit conjure incense I made a while back. I started the prayer I was doing yesterday. I was getting a lot of visuals relating to a love romantic relationship. At one point the word woman came out of my mouth and I got the sense that I was with or something, I can't put my finger on it, the feminine aspect of Adonai. I thought Shekhinah, but it wasn't that. After the session I got the impression that my Neshama is feminine, would equate with the fetch idea of the Saxons. So it is possible that my HGA was there and communicating or making her presence known. Still no signing of the plate. I continued with the prayer and I kept going into a no-breath state. During these states I wouldn't have any recollection, but when I realized, my consciousness kicked in and I was out of it again. At one point I seemed to realize it slowly, and then wham, wham, it was as if I was completely alert in the no-breath state. Didn't last too long though. If you're wondering what the no-breath state is, during some breathing work and meditation, breathe out and you stop breathing, and it can last minutes. Been reported for hours. Some have even reported, like monks have reported, no breathing for days. I can't prove any of that. I know someone who did go into this state and which lasted 2 hours. That's from his words, and I trust him and I believe him. So it's up to you what you want to believe. Then the freakier part. No, there's a freakier part. Then the freakier part was when I was repeating the prayer and mid-sentence I became a stuck record and a sound was coming out of my mouth and repeating itself. I felt like it was someone else speaking. I started to talk spontaneously, but I felt I was then half adding myself to it. It was wanting to repeat the same sound over and over. And finally, not long after that, when I started up the prayer again, time stopped and I was kind of between times or space. Part of me was in this still time. I was conscious of it and it was in my mind's vision, but I was also consciously thinking to myself, this is just so freaky. We'll repeat at around 3 after my daughter gets home. So I just want to change that because when I upload it, it says my daughter's name, which is a bit personal. Okay. Then the 22nd of January 2011. Yesterday was the same as previous. One message I got was compromise, which kept getting stuck in Adonai, I pray that you will hear my pleas and compromise. Not sure what it means. If I didn't mention it before, it appears that when the morning has gone out, I will come to you. Means that my HGA will come to me at noon today. I was spending the day in rotating sessions of approximately 40 minutes in prayer and meditation, and then approximately 20 minutes reading the Abramelin book and the Bible. I noticed in my first session just now that toward the end I got a strange metallic taste on the tip of my tongue, which seemed to fill the front of my mouth. Then the 22nd of January 2011, there is definitely a feminine aspect, but I am not sure if it is my Neshama or the Shekhinah, or if they are one and the same. That knowledge will come at a later stage. However, The work I did some time back on the Gnostic Voodoo thing has come up. The spirit I saw then, which was named, is my HGA, according to the information I just got from her. I need to find that name. I wrote it down somewhere. Oh, okay. 23rd of January 2011. 3rd of January 2011. Yesterday ended up being a little much to take in at time. Yesterday ended up being a little much to take in at times. I continued with the prayers and meditations and received more information about my Neshama. It is indeed the Shekinah, and her name is, I'm not going to say it, I'm going to make it T. Okay, let me just change that, because that is very personal. You can't know the name of my HGA. However, what blew my mind the most was that I was waiting for noon to see what would happen after the words, "When morning has gone out, I will come," which I took to mean when the morning has finished, my Neshama will come to me and have her presence known. I took my phone in with me to make sure I didn't end the session before noon and proceeded. Okay, sorry, there's a whole section here which I'm going to remove. It's extremely personal and it relates to events that happened in my past which I do not wish to repeat. Okay, let's just carry on from here. I checked if T was in the temple, and she was. Not only is she in the two corners on the west side, but also in the other two corners on the east side, where I moved the pillar candlesticks to. So now I have a nice balance. Also, the energy that each corner projects comes to the center of the space, creating a flower overlap design of energy. This morning went well, in fact, quite easily. My skeptical mind says too easy, but I am going on faith. I stood on the east side facing the altar, praying that God would fill me and the wand with the virtue, force and power that was given to Moses, Aaron, Elijah and all the prophets, asked for God's help and aid in the work, and then breathed in Avir from around me and from the infinite power above, and then projected it out with an Iaoe breath into the wand. I also asked T to help me with the work. I then called and summoned the four princes, Lucifer, Leviathan, Satan and Belial. After a short while they came. I checked the energy on the east side before doing anything. Nothing was present. And then checked when they had arrived and it was there. I also went from one to the other and checked where they were standing. I gave them the commands and demands and then got them all to swear an oath on the wand and then each individually. I'd like to now apologize to Lucifer, Leviathan, Satan and Belial, because I don't believe in commanding spirits at all. Developed a lot since then, but this was how it was presented in the book and the working, so this is how I went about it. So yeah, before you start commanding spirits, especially the four princes, just do your research. Please do your research. Leviathan didn't seem to speak very clearly, and Satan seemed a little eager. Lucifer was a little reluctant, and Belial was the easiest. I checked if they had all successfully sworn their oaths, and Leviathan and Satan had not. Therefore I went to Satan and told him to swear his oath on the wand. I got resistance, and so I demanded in the name of the Almighty, and then projected in overtones the name Iaoe. This brought him to his knees in fear, and he made the oath. Leviathan by this time was also ready and spoke clearly. What we do when we were young. All was then successful, so I gave them permission to depart. About the God thing. When we pray to God, we pray to all of the aspects of God. That is Adonai, Sveot, Ehia, etc. If we want to pray to a specific aspect for a specific thing, then we can obviously choose the most appropriate. This is the same as in pagan formats, where we pray or ask a specific god or goddess to help with our work or request. Ergo, whereas in paganism we would petition the gods and goddesses, in Kabbalah and Christian magic we would petition the appropriate aspect of God. I therefore need to brush up on and find all of the names of God and what they mean, what they stand for, etc. 23rd of January 2011. Oh, please don't tell me I'm commanding the princes again. One thing I didn't mention was that when the princes had arrived, they appeared as bodies of energy, somewhat oval balls, and were all coloured differently. I asked them to appear in a fine human form, and they did. However, I should have noted their colours, but at the time I didn't think it important, probably was. In fact, I think they may have been the four colours of the quarters. If I think back and try to recreate the scene, Lucifer was blue, Leviathan red, Satan yellow, and Belial must have been green. I could be wrong, however. 24th of January 2011. Things went pretty simple and easy this morning. I called the four princes and then was expecting to call the 8 sub-princes, only to discover that they were already there. It then dawned on me that the prince's oath was to bring them with this morning. I had a bit of a battle with the familiar spirits. When asking if everything was understood by the 4 sub-princes who are to assign them, I got some conflicted information. Asking if familiar spirits will be assigned to me and that the instruction was understood, I got a no, only to discover that they have already been assigned. Possibly this fits in with the idea that they were assigned at birth. There were a few other things that were confusing, but it appears it was questioning that was doing this. Okay. When I had finished everything before telling the spirits to depart, I asked T, just change that, T, that's my name of my HGA. I asked T if everything had been done for today's working. The answer was no. However, a few seconds after that, I got the answer that I had not told them to go yet. Hence, the working wasn't complete. Very precise in the Q&A. One thing I did find interesting was when I called the 8 sub-princes individually. I got through their names until I got to the last 2. I called Araton and then couldn't remember if that was the right name or if I had called him already. I had to double check myself and then realised that Araton is a bit of a trickster that messes with the mind. He kind of chuckled at me for that. Then I called the last Abramelin, but said Asmodee. Again, I was confused and had to check. Araton was chuckling. I didn't mind a bit of joking around. I do have a sense of humour as long as they know who is giving the orders, which they appear to. Right. What I am concerned about tomorrow is the part of the spirits giving me the names of my 4 familiar spirits. Maybe this is why the questioning today was getting confused. Because of the state of manifestation that I find them in, I am worried I will interject my own interpretation of the names and not get them correctly. I do seem to be opening up physically the past, or I do seem to be opening up psychically the past few days though, possibly having to do with the mental tension that is created, or to do with the HGA. I am seeing pulses of light in front of my closed eyes, and it doesn't seem to be tension or exhaustion. there is a definite difference to this. Then the 25th of January, so I'm just going to change the names of my familiars. Again, all went without a hitch. The familiar spirits I was given are as follows. Obviously not going to give you the names of these. So there's J from 6 to 12 a.m, C from 12 to 6 p.m, K from 6 to 12 p.m, and D from 12 to 6 a.m. Incidentally, the assignment of the sub-princes to the symbols is inconsistent between Mathers and Den. Also, the squares and their assignment according to the index in each chapter differs in many places, not to mention the actual letters in the squares. Also, I found that in Den's book, he has images of some of the squares from the original manuscript, and what he has indicated in his translation again differs from those images. I have come to the conclusion that squares don't matter that much. It is the spirit doing the work that is the important part. However, the assignment of the sub-princes and the companies to the squares should be as follows, after comparisons between the two versions and double-checking in the texts. Okay, I'm not going to go through that. You can read it on my blog post if you want to. It's quite irrelevant and not important at this point. Then the 26th of January 2011. This morning I asked J what form he would like to appear in. I felt that eagle was a good image for him, and then I was sitting waiting for a shop to open, and a small sparrow came hopping up and around me. I knew it was J, and so he is a sparrow. I also asked him this morning to stop the rain until I got back home. It stopped. I took my daughter to school and went to the shops. The rain started again about half an hour after getting home, and it was heavy rain. Stopped at about 12, didn't check in detail, and just now I wondered if the rain stopped because Jay went off duty. If you're not sure, the four familiars you're given are, and I mentioned it when I was giving the names, of the time periods during the day. So they work during those time periods. I asked C to start it again, and also asked him what form he would like to appear in. The rain started up again, light though, and I looked out the window and saw a sparrow on the neighbour's roof. Seems they all like sparrows, well, there's two so far. 26th of January, again 2011, a bit later in the day, it's 1:56 p.m. Asked C to stop the rain, it stopped. Wanted confirmation, so asked him to start it again and make it heavy until about 3:30. It started in a minute or two, is now building up. Again on the 26th at 6:14 p.m, while the rain didn't continue. It stopped shortly after and the sun came out. Don't want to push the familiars, must build a relationship, and can't push them to do what they aren't able to do. C does seem to be a more shiny, happy spirit though. They all feel very young, which I guess they are, a bit like babies. I wonder how long it takes for them to mature. Then on the 29th of January 2011, I performed my meditations and prayers with the HGA this morning. First time I have been back into my room since the last day of the Abramelin work. One thing I did notice over the past 3 days was that the period of rest is vital. For the 3 days I was feeling groggy and my emotions were swinging like a yo-yo. Last night at about 8 I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore and went to bed. I also had aches and pains. This morning I am fine again. I have put the silver plate on the altar to act as a scrying plate or mirror for the HGA. I took some time and gazed at the plate and then closed my eyes where I saw the negative image of it. The tile the plate is on appeared white and the plate appeared black, but coming up from the plate in the negative image was a column of light. I am not certain whether this is the candlestick that I have behind the tile, or if it was truly a column of light that I was seeing. Now, considering that was negative space, it could refer back to that dark cloud column that I saw previously. Interesting, I'll have to explore that a bit more. Anyway, that is the end of the Abramelin Journal. That's where it ends. There was nothing else written after that, so I thank you for listening to it. I hope that it was informative, and I hope if you're attempting to do the Abramelin working yourself, that this actually helped in some way to clarify things and clear things up. And that's it from this part of my journey. As I said, this was written a long time ago, 2010 to 2011, and don't remember half of it. And some of the messages I was getting about the universe and bubbles of energy and things like that, I mean, I understand them. I don't remember actually writing this stuff down and how in depth it got. So it's very interesting. Concepts are very interesting, something to consider. If you want to discuss any concepts a bit further, just leave some comments below, and I'll go more in depth into the concepts if you would like. And obviously, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you in the next video, or you'll see me in the next video. Cheers.